And welcome back to MTGRBD. I'm your host, MP Numbers, and right now, I'd rather be drafting. But it's time to talk this week in Magic with two of my bestest buddies. We've got Des Mags.
What's happening, guys?
And we've got Food Time.
Hello, hello, hello.
Fortunately, last week we did not get an episode out. Now, look, I don't want to point names. I don't want to, point fingers. I don't want to say names, but somebody in the team didn't record their podcast properly last week, and so we had a few technical issues and we just couldn't get the podcast happening. So I think that's all we need to say. You know, no names, nothing like that. We'll just move forward with this week. Sound good?
Yeah,
But if we did say a name, it would have something to do with numbers. Just saying.
and it definitely wouldn't
Could be.
be the American. Nah, definitely wasn't me. Nope.
Anyway, moving on. This week we've got some stuff to talk about. We've got to talk about some double masters. The set is now fully spoiled. We have some interesting things to discuss there. Also bannings. Another wave of bannings has just been announced. It's actually going to be the third set of bannings in our 16 episodes, which I thought was a lot. But yeah, we'll talk about that as we go. But of course, we're going to start by cracking a pack. We're still sticking with Core 2021. That is still the current standard draft set. We might start mixing it up after the next couple of weeks, but we'll see what happens, right?
It's also the current only one we can get in Australia at the moment.
Exactly. So Food Time might have to start getting some different ones if we still can't get them down here.
All right, I'm gonna go get an original Innistrad pack, and we're gonna crack it, and hopefully get a Liliana. No, okay, that's fine.
All right,
Man,
ready?
if you want to be a baller, go nuts, bro.
Ooh. Oh, that pack opening sound, love it.
Not opening.
It was very intense,
Yeah.
bro.
It's intense. You gotta. God damn it. All right, let's go straight into the commons. We're going to start with the Nile Sage. It's a 4/4 for 3 green with reach, and if you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn, Nile Sage has +2 of vigilance. Basri's Acolyte, 2 white for a 2/3 lifelink, which puts counters on
Quick
things.
question: is it a showcase Basri's Acolyte?
It is not a showcase.
Nah, it's trash.
Basri's Acolyte, unfortunately. Yeah,
quick,
it's trash.
quick other question. Could you have a worse poker face if you tried?
What do you mean?
Oh man, for anybody that won't see this, Numbers opened his packet and his face lit up like a 12-year-old girl.
And actually, you completely misread the expression there, but we'll get there soon. We've got Taradoga, which is a 4/3 for 4 with reach, and when it enters the battlefield, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. Swift response is 1 and a white to destroy target tapped creature.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Alchemist. It's a lot better than I originally thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be good because it's removal, but I thought it wasn't going to be the best. I don't know. Alchemist Gift is black for it's an instant. Target creature gets +1/+1. Your choice of Death Touch or Lifelink till end of turn. Portcullis fine.
Portcullis fine? Yeah. You're close enough.
Yeah. Close enough. Cool. It's green for a 0/3 defender. Pay 2, tap it, sacrifice a creature with defender, draw a card. Deathbloom Thalids, 2 and a black for a 3/2 fungus. When it dies, you get a saproling. Tome Anima is a 3 and a blue for a 3/3. Can't be blocked if you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. Concordia Pegasus, 1 and 3 flying Pegasus for 1 and a white. Crashu, red sorcery, creatures you control gain trample till end of turn. That's all our commons. I think Swift Response is the pretty straightforward first pick on the commons.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think anything competes with 2-mana removal spells.
No, it's slightly conditional, but whatever. Yeah. Invigorating Surge is our first uncommon. 2 and a green for an instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of counters on that creature.
Oh, I like that card. That card speaks
Really,
to
I'm not
me.
a fan.
I mean, not for a draft. It just speaks to me on a primal level.
Just on a prime.
I like some big beaters.
Fair enough. We've also got a Siege Striker. It's a 2 and a white for a 1/1. But it has double strike, and whenever it attacks, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. Siege Striker gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature tapped this way. This does good work in white decks. I've found.
I also actually need
But then
one
you'd
of
have to
those.
play a white deck.
That's true. I need one of those for a commander deck, though. So if you could like ship that over here, I'd appreciate it.
I mean, the cost of shipping is probably worth more than the cost of the card, but hey, sure, I'll sign it for you.
Sweet, perfect, awesome.
Sanctum of Calm Waters is our final uncommon. It's 3 and a blue for a legendary enchantment shrine. I think this is the first shrine we've opened in these packs. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, discard a card. I think we can all agree the shrines kind of all suck.
I was going to say, I even forgot they had shrines in here, because all the stuff I've been watching or playing, I haven't seen a
I
shrine.
don't see them, because no one plays them anyway.
I mean,
now rare?
I've seen a few shrine decks on Arena. They don't seem like they'd be good, but I've seen them win, so like I don't know.
Yes!
It is Devil's favourite card. Our rare is Peer into the Abyss. 4 black for a sorcery, covering the picture because it's gross. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life. Round up each time.
I wouldn't take that just so I could pass it to you.
Besides the art being terrible, is this card even playable?
In limited?
Yeah, limited.
God no.
God, no.
In Commander? Oh yeah.
God yes.
Oh yeah.
God,
That's where
yes.
that card exists. You want to draw half you'd like yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did see a small group of people talking about this card being fine if you're in some kind of blue-black control show. This is, it's not going to be a finisher, but it's going to be a way to help you really just kind of push your opponent down after you're already controlling the board and push towards your victory,
Yeah, that's too big brain. I just want to smash stuff. So
Smash stuff. I mean, I think I'm taking a common here. I think I'm either taking a Badger's Acolyte or the Swift Response.
yeah, I
I
think
reckon I'm probably the Acolyte.
I would take the Swift's response, but if the Acolyte was a showcase, I'd probably take it. Like that's how close it is for me.
Yeah, the showcase do look pretty good. We actually, obviously, for listeners, we did a crack pack last week and we opened it as a good pack, but it did have a showcase Badger's Acolyte in it as well. And a lot of other good, interesting picks. It's kind of.
I don't think we can beat the Abyss. That just makes me so happy that the last one of this one, we managed to get Numbers Baby.
No, it's so okay. Yeah, it
That
is
is an
the
ugly
last
baby.
pack of my pre-release kit.
That is a
So
very, very ugly baby.
It's a very ugly baby. I hate this card so much that if any listener messages me and asks if they can have it, I will send it to them and I will pay shipping without even a problem. So if you want a free Period of the Abyss, listeners, message numbers _MTG on Twitter.
Hang on, can we just take a small break while I go to Twitter?
No.
Wait,
I'll probably spit on it first and scribble on the artwork, just because it's gross.
I was going to say, what's your address again? I'm just going to get it to send it to yourself.
All right, guys, let's jump in and talk about all kind of cool stuff happening in Magic. Arena, I don't think any of us have been playing Arena. We've kind of had a bit of fun with other games. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about that later. The only thing I've done is that little bit of Jumpstart. I did manage to get myself a Planeswalker deck, a Liliana deck finally, but it didn't go great because it was paired with Feathered Friends, the white one, the white flying deck. So yeah, it was interesting to play with the Planeswalker deck, but it did not get very many wins, unfortunately.
Yeah, it
you
sounds
guys?
like with Jumpstart, if you do get a Planeswalker deck, you better hope you get something good because it's not strong enough to carry.
Yeah, like the Planeswalkers are not so powerful that they overwhelm. Like even if you draw the perfect opening hand, you can still lose to a good combination of decks easily.
Yeah, I think
Any Arena happening?
no, I haven't really played Arena, but I think it is good that the Planeswalker packs aren't like ridiculously overshadowing the other decks. Like that's
Absolutely. Like that. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's just good that they've done that. Sorry.
Should I say the best thing I get out of the opening the Liliana deck is I now have the lands on Arena, so that's my favourite part of it.
Big true.
Cool. All right, let's talk. What is it? Double Masters. Double Masters is the set that has now been released. It's going to be out very soon, I believe, at least in America, and it's going to be very expensive. The whole bunch of cards. We have done one episode talking about the original set of spoilers, but I'm assuming we probably want to talk about a whole bunch more. Des, did you have anything you wanted to kind of point out and talk about?
I don't know. I still want to look at one that I still like for a commander deck, which is the Lord of the Vault. who I'm going to call Yeezy, the Lord of the Vault. I don't know, even when looking through all these cards, that was just one card that I'm just like, I would love to play this as a commander. So it's 4 and 2 black. It has Intimidate, so this creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. Artifact creatures or creatures that share a colour with it. So it turns other black, which I think is kind of cool for commander damage. And there's got an X and a black, and it says put target artifact or creature card with converted mana cost X from an opponent's graveyard into the battlefield under your control. Then that player mills X cards. And I don't know, I just feel like this would be a fun as hell commander. And I know we spoke about it a little bit last week, but it still excites the hell out of me.
It's definitely interesting. Futon, have you seen many Geth commander decks around?
I've seen him Kelmed a couple times, especially when he first came out. But he's definitely a really powerful card in Commander. Just being able to reanimate both creatures and artifacts, and then just adding to the mill so you can keep doing it is pretty sweet. He's like a little engine in and of himself. He's a good mana sink for those mono black like big mana decks. So really solid card.
For sure. I think the thing for me, and it's, with the set in general, it's funny because I've gone from so low to now kind of high is the Borderless cards. On previous episodes I've talked about how the Borderless cards, I don't like them. I think they're kind of doing a bit too much. I still think it's true because I don't want to see a plethora of them in every set that comes out, but God, there's some nice Borderless cards in this set that's going to come out. Like you look at the Blood Moon, the Thoughtseize, the Brainstorm, just these cards that just are unique arts in themselves. All Magic art's good, but it just takes it to that next level. I don't know. I'm such a flip flop kind of person. I don't know.
I also think though that with these ones too, they've literally added a perfect amount of depth to the card. And even though it doesn't have the borders, but it still has the same feel. It just adds a little bit more depth to it. With some of the other borderless cards, I felt like the art let it down, or it was just like a couple of centimeters of extension and not much else. Where these borderless cards seem to have really used every inch of card and seems to be set up to be a borderless card rather than being an afterthought, and just feel like they've just stretched the art a little bit to fit.
Yeah, and you kind of get that, like when you look through the spoilers. So I'm using Mythic spoilers, and you see all these cool borderless cards in the group, and then you kind of see Jason in the corner there, and you're like, ew, like not that the Jace art is bad, because obviously it's a nice art, it's a very present artwork in everything we do. It's actually like, even in my channel art that for the channel that my YouTube channel, because everyone just knows what that Jace artwork means, but like it's not new, it hasn't been changed, it's just the same thing with a bit of extra colours around the sides.
But if you notice too though, when you look through them, that one card does look a little bit flat. Though it's iconic, though you can see it, it seems like it was, that one there was just, we'll just plonk this on.
So the reason that they kept the Jace art is because it's so iconic. There is an alternate art, Jace the Mind Sculptor, borderless, if that is something people already want. That was in the War of the Spark Mythic Edition. So if that's something people really want, it is something that does exist, but a borderless Jace already does not exist, and it's already an alter I know a lot of people do anyways, so it is kind of just nice that it exists. It's also the only borderless card that did not get the new art treatment, just because of how iconic it is. So I think that was totally fine. And then just the side note about the art being made specifically for these full arts, I totally believe that's true. I'm just still a little confused about the art on Dark Confidant's borderless variant. It's just off-center, like this guy's head's being kind of cut off at the end of the picture. It's just kind of awkward, and I'm not sure if something like happened there or what's going on with that.
That's one that I thought as well. It looks a bit like a misprint, like it's just off-centered, or like I get that Dark Confidant is meant to be like the main figure, but you couldn't have squished him in a little bit, or not made his hand sit on that marble bench and not made it look exactly the same. Or
yeah, it's just weird magic art framing. It's just
Look, I don't dislike it, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just not centered, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. And it's not that it's like not centered, because a lot of cards aren't centered, but it's so off center. Like the person that is the focus of the card is just not really near the center. You just kind of looking at his arm, and I'm sure there might be something I'm missing here. Maybe some art
Yeah.
person's gonna like explain to me how I'm wrong, which would be great. But
Yeah.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah,
But
'cause
most of these other
in my
ones,
first
yeah.
thoughts, not having any, but I did high school art as many of us did, but nothing beyond that. Yeah, the way I said, obviously, that the window is the center, and they're kind of based off that. And I guess the darkness is of the confident is supposed to reflect off the light. I don't know. The thing that I kind of notice is that when you like as Magic players, we look at the card, we read the name, and then kind of your eye goes straight to this character because he's like the confidant is underneath the name, so maybe they're trying to get a flow of view down from the name. I don't know.
But couldn't you have just flipped it and put that guy in the center and just not had his hand reaching out in a really awkward
Possibly.
position that doesn't seem right? Because I agree with Food Time. Like this would be a
Sorry.
good card if, for example, there was another like light confident and it had the rest of the person's head and the person on the other side, and it was like a joining card. But just like this, it just has an awkwardness to it. That just doesn't feel right.
I think, and I'm actually just pulling it up now because I'm not sure. Like, if you look at the original Dark Confidant art, it was not centered either, but it wasn't as bad as, or not. Like, I'm going to use the word bad, but obviously I don't mean bad. I like the art. I just don't. It's not. Yeah, like
Framed
we're
well.
looking at it as center, and yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah, just to talk about some of these other ones, like the Fatal
for it.
Push Borderless is really cool. It's the if you know the Fatal Push art, it's a guy being kicked off a skyship, and then the Borderless art is literally just the camera essentially pointing up at the skyship as the guy falls, so you kind of get to see the rest of that. That's really cool. Just the Exploration Showcase foil is just absolutely fantastic. The Swords of Fire and Ice, Sword of Light and Shadow, Sword of War and Peace, Sword of Feast and Famine, Sword of Body and Mind, all the swords, they just blew it out of the water this time around. The Sword of Fire and Ice it looks like something out of Dark Souls, and I absolutely love it. It's just some real cool art they did this time around, you know.
Yeah.
And there's the blue Karn.
And the
Beautiful
blue
blue
Karn that
Karn.
does.
I hate the blue Karn.
We know.
It's just
We know. Mark Tinnan's already contacted the show to advise how much he hates you as well.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I would actually accept that hatred for that card.
So it's just something else to talk about with the Double Masters is the price of the foils on the showcase cards is a little out of whack. So some people might not know what's going on here. Most of the showcase foil like borderless cards are actually cheaper than the non-foil. So this seems to be for two reasons. The first is a lot of the VIP boosters were received by stores before the actual booster packs, and I think they were allowed to open the VIP boosters early, so they were able to pre-sell cards. So those prices are like they can actually pre-sell them, and the market does what it does, and the prices on them drop as more of them get opened. But also, if the only cards that people are going for are these showcase borderless cards, and that's all they care about. They don't care about any of the other cards in the set. They're just going to sell them. They're just going to not really do anything. They don't care about them. They just want to get their hands on some borderless cards. They have two choices. Well, I guess they have three choices. They could buy it off the secondary market, but a lot of these people, they want the thrill of opening them from packs, right? They want to be able to pull it from packs. Maybe they want to pull a $100 card and sell it, and maybe buy another pack and have that other borderless card for themselves. So there's the two choices you have to do that are you buy a full box of Double Masters draft packs, which gives you two full art borderless non-foil showcase cards, or you spend $100 and buy a VIP pack and you get two in foil. So you for the price of one box where you get two non-foil borderless cards, you can essentially buy two or three of these VIP packs depending on the prices you find everything at, and get 6 of them in foil. So it seems like it's easier to get them in foil, so the price of them is dropping, at least right now, much quicker than the non-foil prices of a lot of these showcase cards. So just something to keep in mind. Obviously, as of recording this, it's only the 4th. That's not even technically out yet, so all the prices are still in their pre-sale inflation. So as the set comes out, definitely keep an eye on things. If you are looking for any of these showcase cards, they will probably bottom out pretty quickly before they go back up.
Yeah.
That is
It's
just
just
insane. That's just so insane. Normally,
when,
when you open a foil of something, you get excited because you're like, yes, this is worth more money than the normal one. With this one, you're like, no.
Yeah, so I think I'm with numbers, what he was saying earlier about not liking all of the borderless cards, all the showcase cards, all of the fancy stuff that they have been doing. I am actually totally fine with them. I just don't like the way that they're being distributed. I don't like the collector's boosters, not necessarily that they're priced too high or that they're not good value. It's just that it devalues the fact that you're getting all of these cool rares and these cool showcase like cards. I think back when they were doing the expeditions in Zendikar or the invocations on Amonkhet, when you actually pulled one of these really nice, really cool, really unique cards, it wasn't like, oh, I just bought a pack and I guaranteed got one. It's like, whoa, look at this thing I pulled, everybody check this out. It was a lot cooler, and it felt like it was more meaningful when it was a little more random, which also kind of sucked for people that were looking for them, but it's just a reprint of a card that already exists, so I felt like that was totally fine. So I don't know, I feel like definitely this kind of proves that I think the collector's boosters are, if you're looking at them from like a financial, trying to make money off of them kind of standpoint, that they are just not good. If that makes sense.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Like I think that kind of comes back to that focus where, not that they do it intentionally, because they don't acknowledge the second market, but they're putting these collectors boosters for collectors, not for people that are trying to make investments. I think.
Yeah, but
Right.
those two really overlap a lot. The people that are quote unquote investing in Magic and the people that are quote unquote collecting. At some point, when with most things that you collect, there is a point when you cash out and you get rid of your collection, right? That's
True.
just kind of how the collecting hobby goes. Not for some people. Some people are gonna hold these things till the day they die because they're hoarders, or this is just something that's really important to them. But for the most part, like, even people with large collection of things will liquidate large amounts of them at some point. So it's just something to keep in mind, right?
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
I
Cool.
think
Uh,
Disney's Incredible put it best: when everyone's super, right? If everyone's special, no one is. Like,
Special.
if they're pulling
Yep.
these so much, they're just not special anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Des, did you have any other cards in the set that you want to talk about before we kind of move on?
No, I mean, there are a lot of really cool cards, and some of these I have seen before, some of these I haven't. Wormcoil Engine, I just feel like is just a cool card, just because I like it, and also because I got some, at I think one of the GPs, I got some cool tokens for them for when they split. I think Land Tax is just a cool looking card where they've got this giant chest, looks like it opening the land, sort of like leaving, like looking like it's going into it. The one card that I still get confused a bit by the art is this Bandit Warlord, Gudu. Is it Gudo? Yeah, where it just feels a bit flat. I know I brought this up off stream or last week, I think it was, but it just looks like almost like a comic book art that seems really flat on the card.
Um, yeah, so I think that's just the way the artist does art. If you look at some of the other cards that they've made, I'm probably going to butcher this name. It looks like Paulo Parente. It's just kind of the art style they do. It's very flat, and I don't know enough about art to speak to it here, but it's probably the medium. It's either like paint or whatever they use to make the art that makes it look that flat. But also, Goto was in the Kamigawa block, which was based on kind of the magic interpretation of Japanese feudal Japan. So it has a lot of this art style that is a bit older. So there's, I think, a lot less digital art and more paintings in that set, and he just kind of happened to be part of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes sense. It obviously you can see that it has that Japanese styling and also the painted styling, which is kind of cool. And I gotta admit, I still think the reflections. So you got like rage reflection, mana reflection, whatever else it is. I think it's thought reflection, and then white reflection, whatever that is. But that's cool.
For sure.
Oh, it's got Wrath of God. Oh, that is such a good card,
Indeed it
Commander.
does.
Yeah.
Until it gets played on you.
Yeah, there's actually a promo art for Wrath of God as well, where it's just kind of like this big sky thing killing a bunch of people, like Wrath of God art usually looks like. But you get that for, I guess it's supposed to be the pre-release promo, but the state of the world as it is currently, a lot of places aren't doing pre-releases, so definitely talk to your LGS, see what they're doing for that. They're probably giving it out with some kind of pre-order, so figure out what's going on there. Maybe they're doing like a spell table pre-release. I know some places have been doing that, so talk to your LGS, see if you can get that Wrath of God promo. It's pretty cool.
For sure. Futon, do you have any other cards you wanted to point out before I ask a probably really stupid question?
Not particularly. I think most people probably already know what's coming in this set. Most people have probably looked it up. Most people have probably heard people talk about it. So,
Cool.
yeah, nothing particular.
All right, stupid question. Do you think that as much as possible they try to include cards that have that can be somehow linked to the doubling theme, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, so one of the first cards they showed off was Doubling Season. And then they have all the reflection cards, which double something. And I think there were a couple other cards. I'm surprised though the Doubling Cube was not in the set. Big miss there by WotC, as they tend to do. Side tangent, and this is really stupid. This is the stupidest thing anyone's ever going to hear me say. The original Ravnica had a card called Ogre Gatecrasher, and the Return to Ravnica block had a gate theme, right? But it also had a Defender sub-theme, and Ogre Gatecrasher destroys a creature with Defender when it comes into play, and they did not reprint Ogre Gatecrasher in the gate-themed Defender set that was also set on Ravnica. Sometimes WotC just misses things like they did with the Doubling Cube and Double Masters. Sorry for that tangent. But another card also that fits the doubling theme would be like Riku of Two Reflections. I like that they have the filter lands. They pay one of these two colors and it taps for either both or double of one of the two. You can kind of cheekily say that's part of the theme. Just kind of maybe, a little bit. So I think some of the cards they tried to cheekily say like, yeah, there's a double theme, but I think a lot of the cards are there for draft. Definitely.
Yeah. I think that I'll jump back to that in a second, but through our conversations through time, you've kind of said no one's ever going to draft this set. Are you still in that mindset?
Less so looking at it, because it's so powerful. I think people are going to draft it more on mid-go phantom drafts than anything else, or let's say cockatrice or something. People are definitely going to build cubes out of it, but if this would release next year or last year, I think a lot more people will be drafting it. It looks like it's going to be a real ton of fun actually to draft. So hopefully people do, but the price point seems really high. I know, like, if there was a GP, this would be the thing everybody's drafting, but because there's not, it's harder to say. Like, it's harder to justify it, I think, which is with the state of things right now.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the last thing I was going to say is I've been playing a bit of a game with myself, and you know how when that movie 23 came out with, was it Jim Carrey did 23?
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody who watched it and enjoyed it spent the next, like, year of their life trying to make everything meet 23 just because that's what they did in the movie. Spoilers. I've been like, I'll randomly flick through the spoilers page and be like, all right, how does this card equal double? Like, you go, all right, fucking Grand Architect, how does it double? Because well, it probably doesn't. I've just found because it adds colorless. That's double. Like that's
double color.
Little game I've played with myself.
Oh, yeah. How many cards can I pretend totally fit this theme 100%? This costs 2 mana.
I was going to say, if you think about it, all the swords are +2/+2.
Yeah, and they get protection from 2 things, and they do 2 things they do.
The worm coil entry, when it dies, it breaks in 2.
That was actually one of the first ones, and then Stoneforge Mystic, it obviously searches for another artifact, so you get 2 cards for the price of 1.
It also has an ability that costs 2 mana. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Thoughtseize makes you lose 2 life. Oh, we getting there, boys.
Oh my god, this is going to be horrible.
Right, this episode we analyze every single card.
God, fun times.
point in time.
Let's not, and just say we did.
All right, so Double Masters, I think the set does look powerful. I think it does look fun. I don't know if I'll draft it or buy any sets, any cards for any particular reason. Obviously, Food Time will be buying cards because he is an addict and always buys cards. Des?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind buying a couple of packs. Just depends on the price, and it just depends on if they ever make it to Australia.
Low key, and by that I mean totally high key. I am so excited that these Double Master showcase foils are really cheap. I am picking up that Kalia. Oh my god, I need it.
Yeah,
It's so pretty.
nice.
I've said that since day one. But yeah.
Is Collier the one that I like? The one with the red
With the vest.
dragon and
Yeah,
that's the one with the vest.
Yeah.
My Collier with the vest.
Kalia with a vest. Alright, so we should probably move on to the other
We
big
should probably
topic.
move on. Yes, let's talk banning. So as I said, this is the third lot of bannings that have come out since we started this little podcast 16 episodes ago. And I think we talked last time pretty effectively how, that it's too much at the moment, but at the same time it needs to be done. I think that's probably where we all stand on it.
Yep, this one feels like a, hey, it's about time. But I will
Yes.
say, this is the first time there's been a banning that we actually are on the podcast right after it happened. Or
Literally.
instead of right before it happened, where all of our
Yeah,
information is then completely useless. So that's pretty fantastic. I like this.
Good job, Wizards. All right, Des, we'll let you do some talking. What has been banned in Standard?
I think the main thing that comes from this banding is suck it Teferi. Because Teferi's, oh man, poor Teferi. So he's been banned in Standard. So this is Teferi Time Reveler.
Yep.
He's been banned in Standard. Cauldron Familiar, Grow Spiritually, and Wilderness Reclamation.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can't read today.
Yeah, Wilderness Reclamation, Growth Spiral, Teferi Time Raveler, and Cauldron Familiar all out of Standard. Get them out of here. A lot of people praising that all over the internet today. So
I don't think too many people are upset. Like my first thoughts, because these announcements come out very early in the morning for us, so I wake up and I'm like, oh, a news article, oh, cool, bannings. My first thought was, oh, I just built the Ghost Spiral Wilderness Reclamation deck on Arena, but then I went, oh wait, I'm going to get those cards back because they give the wild cards back when they're banned anyway. So who cares?
Question. Okay, Teferi I get, Grow Spiral I get, Wilderness Reclamation I get. What about the poor 1/1 kitty?
So
Like how much food can you get?
you can get a lot
Constantly
of food.
bounce
In
it back.
fact,
yeah, the cat's annoying. It's really hard to deal with in the long term. And their justification for banning it was it could potentially limit the decks that will be viable starting with the next rotation of Battle for Zendikar, and it gets rid of a play pattern that most players, one, don't like to play against, and two, they don't really like to see, where you're just literally the combo is this plus the oven, so you tap the oven to sack the cat to make a food token, and then you sack that food token to get that cat back, and you do that literally every single turn until your opponent's dead, and it's just really annoying, especially on Arena, because it just requires a lot of clicking to deal one damage.
because
But doesn't that technically also take 20 turns to kill someone?
not when you have
Yeah.
multiple ovens
And
you have
multiple kits,
other
yeah.
creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, once you
multiple
get your
kit
second
things.
oven, you're hitting them for 2 a turn, and then you're also swinging for 3 occasionally with your creatures. It starts to be quite oppressive. And I think it's better to cut it off now. And maybe there's a card that's coming out that is going to super break it that they just don't want around. So it's probably just better to get it out before it becomes a problem.
For sure. And
Yeah, that makes sense, because that one just seemed like out of all of them, that just seemed kind of weak, like a 1/1.
yeah, it's more about the combos, and I mean when you look through the article, you can read it on magicthegathering.com. It's they just talk about how it's always been a deck. It's actually one of the first meta decks that were made when those 2 cards were released in Eldraine. But the Uro deck, the Teferi deck, the Wilderness Reclamation deck was able to keep it down, so it didn't matter. And it's probably more than anything a preemptive ban, because they know that banning these other 3 cards is going to bring people back to go, okay, well, we're just going to play the sacrifice deck and go back to it because it works, and that's going to run the meta. And so it's probably more a preemptive banning because they know how powerful it can be.
Yeah, I think they even explained that in the article. I think you're 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah, I read and interpreted. Well, I think we should now. Obviously, as you did say, it's obvious the other 3 cards are banned, but let's just touch on it. Obviously, Growth Spiral enabled very strong blue-green X decks, because Growth Spiral, for those who don't know, let you draw a card and put a land into play, so it was very effective in mostly decks with Uro, the
Not only
demigod
that,
or whatever.
it's
Sorry?
instant speed. Like, you get to drop a land on your opponent's turn and replace itself. Like, it's essentially a time walk on turn 2, and it's so... I can't believe they printed this.
Yeah,
At common.
Yeah, and it's the point where if you want to play a deck that has access to blue mana and green mana, 4 of your slots are going to be taken up with Growth Spiral.
Yes, without question. Yeah.
Wilderness Reclamation is a card that's annoyed people for a long time because, again, for those of you who don't know, at the beginning of each end step, your end step, untap all lands you control, which can be used in a couple of different ways. The annoying way is, you can spend your turn casting your spells and be on a control deck and then still get to untap and be able to counter all your opponent's spells. Or it can be done in combo decks that let you get big mana, so you tap all you put your triggers on the stack, especially if you've got multiple of them, tap all your lands, let the trigger resolve to untap it, tap them all again, have tons of mana, get to cast big spells and hurt people badly. Again,
Yeah.
Just annoying and oppressive card.
But these are the 2 cards that you said at one of the GPs. They were in all 8 of the top 8 decks.
Growth Spiral specifically was in literally 36 slots of the top 8, which every single possible version could be played. That was the first online PT in the pandemic. Wilderness Reclamation's kind of went away for a little bit because it was first being used in the what's that combo, the take unlimited turns basically.
Yeah, that's not a combo, it's just a single card, yeah.
Well,
Nexus of Fate.
Yeah, but didn't Wilderness Reclamation have something to do with that?
It just made it easier to control the board, I think. I didn't really play the deck because I thought it was dumb.
Yeah, so those 2 cards worked together, and then it kind of faded away, and it was still out there. There's still always been a Reclamation deck, but it definitely has resurged lately with the power of Blue-Green X. And then finally Teferi, well, screw Teferi. So
Yeah, Teferi.
Is anybody surprised?
When Teferi just makes the game Yu-Gi-Oh, and I didn't sign up to play Yu-Gi-Oh, I signed up to play Magic, so let me play Magic.
Unfun, repetitive, and just bad. Interestingly, Teferi's been out for however long now. I only just got the name. Like, he's a time raveler, not a time traveler. Like, I only just noticed that when I was reading this article. I don't know if that makes me dumb, but whatever.
It's okay. There's a lot of magic.
We would never tell you that to your face, but we may say it after the podcast.
Yeah, just super cool. It's banned. The reason they're banning Teferi, Growth Spiral, and Teferi and Wilderness Reclamation now is that they're going to rotate next month anyways. So this is kind of their soft rotation since everyone's stuck at home. Everyone's playing Magic on Arena. It's kind of like the de facto way to play right now. So they just kind of want the meta to shift a little faster since everyone's kind of tired of it. And it's nice to see that they actually admitted, hey, the meta kind of sucks right now, so we're just going to ban this a month early just so that we can get some fresh decks in here, get some ideas popping, and then when Battle for Zendikar comes out, not Battle for Zendikar, Zendikar Rising comes out, people will have some fresh decks to work with. They won't have to worry about, is this going to be strong enough to deal with this deck that, whatever. Yeah.
So was it only in there for another month?
Yeah, until...
Is it really... I just
yeah, we're getting another set in a month.
I don't know. Like I get that. I didn't realize this was the next one to rotate out. But I'm just like, is it really worth it? Like I get that it's to try to rotate quicker, but
I think it's
a month.
Yeah, I think they just want people to get a chance to play with the cards that they wanted to play with but couldn't because these decks were too oppressive for that last month before they rotate out. That's what they said in the article. That's how I read it.
Yeah,
but also it hasn't been. It's been this way for the whole time he's been in. Like people have rolled their eyes at Teferi every time he comes in. So why wouldn't you just go, let's do it sooner rather than later, rather than just going.
By itself, it was never oppressive to the point where it made the game as a whole unfun. I don't think it was annoying, and you had to try and get ways around it. But it was never so bad that it ruined the whole metagame by itself. In my opinion.
Yeah, it didn't automatically shut every single deck down. Like a mono red or like a really aggressive strategy does not care about your Teferi. They're just going to attack and kill it.
And
So
just
it
cast
didn't
it,
shut.
yeah.
Yeah, and they're just going to cast their spells at sorcery speed. They don't care. So it doesn't shut down every single deck whole ham. But like Number said, it's just time to let him go. Let him go a little early so everyone can be like, oh, what would this be like if he just never existed the whole time? And maybe we figure out, oh, Teferi was actually stopping some even more ridiculous deck, and we only have to deal with it for a month now instead of having to deal with it for 3 to 6 months. Yeah. I doubt that, but there's a possibility with how many cards they've banned in Standard over the last 16 episodes we've had a podcast. Like it's insane. There's no way they could have tested, well, what if all of these cards didn't exist too, right? So I think it's probably a little bit of a safety valve. Just be like, all right, 1 month, super duper untested, just kind of go for it, see what comes up, see what it would have been like. So it's nice to have that bone thrown.
For sure. All right, let's move on. So now I think between the three of us, we've played maybe less than one game of Pioneer, I would imagine.
I have looked at Pioneer deck lists once in a while.
Yeah, me too.
Probably.
So, on that note,
I was going to say I did Google Pioneer and one of the decks of one of the banned cards just then, so that's probably the closest I've come to Pioneer.
There we go. So with that in mind, let's use our expertise to break down the Pioneer bans. Des, again, what do we got?
So we have Pioneer. Where are we? Inverter of Truth.
Banned.
Keith and the Hidden Hand.
Kathis the Hidden Hand. Banned.
No, that's Keith, mate.
Keith the Hidden Hand.
Keith the Hidden Hand. Walking Ballista and then Underworld Breach.
Okay, I actually think I can explain all of these bans pretty easily.
I'm going to do Inverter of Truth.
You take this one.
Let me go first. I want to start with Inverter of Truth because I watched that one GP that one time, and I know what it is. It's because it works really well with that card, the 2-mana Thassa's Oracle, which lets you look at your deck, and if the cards are equal or less than your devotion to Thassa's Oracle, or to blue, then you win the game, right?
Yeah, essentially, Thassa's Oracle, you play it. If your devotion to blue is greater than the number of cards in your library, you win the game. And Inverter of Truth says, hey, when you play me, exile your deck.
Yeah, so you have a zero deck, you play, or 1 or 2 cards, you play your Thassa's Oracle, bam, you win the game, full stop.
Yep, and they have banned that combo out. Fantastic. I've literally got, literally in my desk at home, like in the drawer next to it, a pile of 4 Thassa's Oracles and 4 Inverters of Truth that I was like, I should build that, and I never did, and I'm kind of glad I didn't now.
Well, now you can make 4 commander decks.
Yeah, that's not fun though. Nobody wants to lose to that. So let's move on to the next couple of cards. Kathis, the Hidden Hand. He was banned because he was part of a pretty degenerate combo deck. So Kathis wants to play legendary cards from your graveyard by exiling legendary cards from your graveyard. I think it's exile 2 cards, legendary cards from your graveyard. You can play legendary cards from your graveyard this turn. And the combo is with the 0-mana legendary artifacts like the Mox that wants you to have a legendary out, and the Metalcraft, I believe, artifacts. I don't know if those are in Pioneer, though. I don't think they are. But there's a bunch of like 0-mana cards and ways to abuse Kathis, along with a card from Dominaria. I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but it essentially lets you mill a player every time you cast a historic card, which legendary permanents are. So you essentially just turbo mill yourself until you can play a bunch of free mana artifacts, and you just start taking over the game pretty quickly. You're essentially playing Moxen at that point, and it's pretty gross.
Was that one Once Upon a Time?
No, Once Upon a Time was banned a while back.
Oh.
Once Upon a Time was banned. So moving forward, Walking Ballista is banned, which is pretty surprising. I saw a lot of people upset about this. The reason it is banned is because of the infinite loop that it makes with the new Heliod. So essentially, Walking Ballista is an XX. You, let's say, pay 2, it enters with 1 counter on it, so it enters with X counters on it. Really, you pay XX. And what you do is you give it lifelink with Heliod by paying 2, and Walking Ballista has the ability to remove a counter from it to deal 1 damage to something, and then if it has lifelink with Heliod, Heliod triggers and puts a counter on Walking Ballista, and then you just do that until your opponent dies. A lot of people are saying they should just ban Heliod instead of walking Ballista because Ballista interacts with other decks in ways that are not broken. The argument against that was, why would you ban a card that is still a mythic rare in standard right now that people can still pull out of a pack, because that devalues your packs? Even not looking at the secondary market, WotC knows that nobody wants to pull the mythic rare god that now is banned. Like, you don't want to be the shopper going, oh, cool, you pulled Heliod. He's banned, by the way. So that feels kind of bad. The other part that feels really bad about this, too, is a lot of people have still not received their walking ballistas that they got from the secret layer, and now the card's banned. Yeah, so that's a pretty big feel bad. Luckily, card's still really good in every other format it's legal in, so not too bad. They're just kind of sad to see him go, but card's ridiculous. It's pretty much a combo enabler for colorless, so it's probably better it goes now, so it doesn't break something else down the line as well, which probably for the best. And lastly is Underworld Breach, a card I thought was already banned. So there you go.
Maybe it was suspended or something.
I think they only do that for Arena because of the wild card thing. Yeah, for historic. Yeah, which is interesting. So Underworld Breach is the enchantment from Theros. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's converted mana cost plus 3, exile 3 of the cards from your graveyard. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice Underworld Breach. This card essentially just lets you turbo through your graveyard and just do broken stuff and basically be Yawgmoth's Will, but for 2 mana in red.
Yeah. And it also comboed with That's Historical.
Yeah, what doesn't, though? I mean, I don't understand why they don't just ban the Oracle.
Well, yeah.
This seems like the problem card, not Inverter of Truth, but that's just one man's opinion. Who doesn't know anything? Then, yeah, it's pretty much the Pioneer bans. If anyone plays Pioneer, you can hit us up and let us know what you think about this, what it's going to do to the meta, because I have no idea. I would assume Gruul's probably just going to come smash stuff until somebody figures out a metagame.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing to pull out just briefly is that when they did the last banning, so I remember looking and seeing that people were basically annoyed because they weren't banning combo pieces out, and they were, one of the comments was, oh, I guess Wizards just wants Pioneer to be a crappy combo, pick your best combo deck kind of thing, and obviously they've seen that and gone, well, actually, okay, let's do it. Let's give the people what they want. Ban these combos. Make them force them to build a bit more creatively, and see what happens when we shake things up.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I think that any combo that exists in Modern probably should not exist like in Pioneer, at least in a competitive format, right? So I feel like you shouldn't be able to run the same deck in both formats, if that makes sense. I feel like they should. They should be distinct enough that you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to play my Pioneer deck in Modern today.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's probably a distinction they'd probably agree with. Modern can probably be a little more fast, a little more broken, while Pioneer is probably going to be a little slower, but definitely faster and more broken than Standard. I think there's probably a good middle ground there.
Definitely. Cool. Moving on now, Historic. For reasons we've already talked about, Wilderness Reclamation and Teferi Time Raveler have been suspended. As they like to do in Historic, they'll suspend them for a while and see what the metagame shakes up like and how the people react, and then they'll either bring them back or ban them completely.
Question for you. What do you think the percentage chance is that either of these do not get banned?
Low.
Donuts.
Yeah, I don't think either of these get unbanned. I think these are both permanent bans forever.
I think next time we get an update, it'll be the banning went well. We're very happy, and it's banned forever.
I think they will literally not even just say it's banned. I think they will say it's banned forever. Like, we're removing it from we are removing this card from Magic Arena. If you do a flashback draft, you cannot get this card. We are unprinting this card. If you have physical copies, please give them to us. We will give you dollar bills. We are removing our mistake. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so pretty glad to see that gone. For the same reasons it's banned in Standard, both cards, they should probably go from Historic. They're even better there than they are in Standard. So, and lastly, the only format I care about on Arena, Brawl. Teferi, Time Reveler, is also banned, to the surprise of no one, because it's a format where he can actually just be your commander. What?
Yeah, they said he's in over 10% of games, it has the highest win rate, and like it's just even if you don't play with Commander, it's still great. But yeah, it's massive, and
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a single brawl deck with blue white that doesn't run Teferi.
yeah, and, like why would you? Like there's no reason not to if it's available. You don't want to be crazy.
Unless you're like the world's weirdest creature-only blue-white deck, yeah, pretty much.
Be blue white flyers or blue white's creatureless. Like, I don't know exactly.
No, Teferi's creatureless. Yeah.
Yeah. I will ask stupid question again, but since I asked this last time, things were banned in Brawl. Is there any reason they would try and carry this ban across to Commander?
No.
No. Yeah, just because it can't be your Commander, so who cares, right?
I don't think I've ever seen Teferi Time Raveler in Commander, apart from in my Super Friends deck. That is just really annoying on purpose. It's literally a Grand Arbiter deck, so I don't know.
All right, so that's all the topics. Looks like it's going to be a shorter than usual episode, depending on how long Des's question goes for. Let's see what happens. Des, wrap us up with a Des Dumb question.
Okay, so this is going to be an easy one, and it has to do with Double Masters. Of the 5 swords in Double Masters, which one is your favourite art-wise in the borderless ones?
Fire and Ice. I said it so 3 times. I can't say it.
I mean, I think I already said it was the one that was Dark Soulsy.
Yeah, but I already
that was
thought
the
it
Fire
before you
Knife.
said it, so
I think we can pick the same one. I think that just means that it's objectively the best art.
well, I mean, Des gets a say as well.
I kind of like War and Peace.
I like War and Peace. Yeah, I'd say like I'm not a big fan of Feast and Famine, to be honest, but the rest are all good.
I really like all of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. Like if I had to rate them, it would probably be Fire and Ice 1, War and Peace, Body and Mind, Light and Shadow 2, Feast and Famine 2.5. Yeah, like just behind the rest. That's just personal.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was just trying to go with an easy one, nice and simple.
Okay, so here's Food Time's definitive tier list for all the swords from Double Masters in Showcase Variants. So, number 1 is Sword of Fire and Ice. That is the absolute best of these 5. Number 2 is probably Sword of Light and Shadow. I really like the design they went there. The light coming off the kind of the top of the hilt. Number 3 for me is probably Sword of War and Peace. I think it's really cool. Just the artwork really sticks out. The fire in the background, with the clear war that's happening. It's just like the sword stuck in a pillar. Looks pretty cool. My next one after that would probably personally be Sword of Feast and Famine, which I think where Numbers and I here disagree. I think this looks super, super sick. It's just really cool looking, I think, with like the decay on one side and like the kind of like spring pasture on the other. And then last for me is Sword of Body and Mind. This sword looks like a ridiculous World of Warcraft weapon, but like to the nth degree. It's so wide and so impractically thick. It's
like a broadsword. Like it's supposed to look like.
That's way bigger than a broadsword, bro. That's like a paddle. That's for paddling people.
that's paddling.
That's paddling right there. And that's the definitive tier list. Fight me. Don't at me on Twitter though. I mean, I'll probably respond because I got really nothing else going on right now. So let's go. Fight me on it.
You can definitely at us with your own personal list if they happen to disagree with Food Times. So I think if I had to break it down, mine would be very similar, except for Body and Mind and Feast of Famine being swapped.
Yeah, you just want to paddle, so you're good.
I like a paddling. I like a paddling on a good day.
So are we just going pure art here?
This is
Pure
all just
art,
artwork.
yeah.
Okay, that's alright. I just wasn't sure.
Is your list different if you had to rank them, Des?
I don't know. I think I like War and Peace. I think I'd go War and Peace, Fire and Ice, Light and Shadow. I do like Feast and Famine, and then probably Body and Mind.
How would you even hold the Feast and Famine sword? Like it's all sharp and ouchy.
No, if you have a look on the side, there's a handle that goes like this, and then it's got.
Oh, you hold the green side. Okay.
Yeah.
And the
I'd like to make a change to my tier list. So.
Okay.
Number 1, Sword of Fire and Ice. Number 2, Light and Shadow. Number 3, Feast and Famine. Number 4, War and Peace. Number 5, Body and Mind. I'm looking at the Feast and Famine war. I really like it. I like it the more I look at it. I love the
Still a lot
life
of
death
money.
theme they got going on there. I love it. It's killer.
I have to, like, now that we're breaking, I know we're supposed to be finished now, but, like, breaking it down, looking at these artworks, I don't like the text in these cards. Like, if you look at War and Peace, it looks so weird, and then if you look at Body and Mind, it kind of blends in. It's really hard to read.
Yeah, they're really hard to read. The Fire and Ice one's like the easiest, but even then, yeah, they're
because probably because there's the least words as well.
Yeah, it's because they have this like see-through text box, so it does make them kind of tough. I think if they were black, though, they'd be harder to read. So I think they did the best with what they've got.
Yeah.
Des, I have a question for you. I would like you to attempt to rate these in power ranking order from worst to best of these 5. I'm curious what you think because I think there's an objectively correct answer.
Okay, let's have a look. So pretty much all of them give +2/+2 to certain colours. That seems pretty easy across the board. So I'm guessing it's a secondary one. So light and shadow is whenever equipped creature deals damage to a player, you gain 3 life, and you may return up to 1 target card from your graveyard to your hand.
Creature card.
Pretty cool.
Specifically creatures.
Sorry, creature card. Yeah, my apologies. When a creature deals combat damage to a player, Sword of Fire and Ice deals 2 damage to any target, and you draw a card. Still kind of cool. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card, and you untap all lands you control. Oh, so that just deals. Oh, that deals damage to a player though. They're all. Oh, yep. Sorry. Whenever equipped player does combat damage to a player, Sword of Fire and Peace deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand, and you gain 1 life for each of them. Oh,
for each card in your hand.
Cool.
The life gain's based on yours. The damage is based on theirs.
Yeah, still kind of cool. When a cryptic creature deals combat damage to a player, you create a 2/2 wolf token, and that player mills 10 cards. Oh, it's kind of cool. I think untapping all your lands you control would be cool. Father and Ice. I think War and Peace is kind of cool. And I guess if you are playing your mill deck, this sort of Body and Mind could be cool. So I'm guessing in my eyes, I'm probably going to go with, being that it deals with black and green, I think Feast and Famine number 1. I would say, I'd say War and Peace 2, Body and Soul 3, Shadow of Fire and Ice 4. Light and Shadow 4 and Fire and Ice 5.
Can I
horribly wrong?
Food time before you, because they're probably an objective. You probably know this better than me, but my guess is that Des has it exactly the wrong way, like literally opposite from what it would be.
No. So I think Sword of Feast and Famine is by far the best of these. Untapping all your lands is essentially take another turn, and then they have to discard a card, which is fine. But black and green is probably the better 2 colors to have protection from.
See, that's what I was saying.
Most of the time, because you're going to dodge a lot of removal with black, and like if you're playing like Modern or something, like you're dodging the Tarmogoyfs and a lot of the green like dorks that can chump block anyways with the pro green. So I really like
Fire
that.
and Ice would be second though, right?
I think it's edged out by Body and Mind. The Mill 10 is a win condition on its own, and the 2/2 Wolf gives you a blocker, so you can you're kind of okay to swing out if you only have one guy. It also makes a wolf for you to equip the sword too if something happens to your creature. That like milling 10 is so strong.
That's why I put that at number 3.
Yeah, so I'd probably put that at number 2 with Fire and Ice being a close third, because pro red and blue is really important. And then 2 damage to any target does let you hit planeswalkers, because it is any target, and drawing a card is actually just really good as a combat damage trigger. And then
game.
Yeah, and then I think Light and Shadow is after that, because pro black and white, and then getting creatures back is great. The gain 3 life is completely irrelevant almost in every situation, but getting a creature back is sweet. And then War and Peace is probably the worst of these by like a mile.
Yeah. If the card has a chance to do literally nothing, then it's bad.
Yeah, I have a commander deck with all of the swords in it, and War and Peace by and far usually does almost nothing. It's kind of sad.
Oh, okay, so I didn't do too bad.
No, you were pretty close. Definitely the good call on the Feast and Famine for sure.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't have had that high. I don't know.
Yeah, that card is single-handedly won tournaments, so like it's really good. Just a full turn of mana just for dealing combat damage is really good. It's insanely good.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be cool. I thought the mill 10 cards would be good. That almost made number 2 for me, but then I kind of thought, depending on how quick you get this out, you could hit when people have 5 and 6 cards, which could be cool as well. But I was wrong. War and Peace sucks.
Yeah.
So I think the other 4 I got in a similar thing. I just put War and Peace in there way too high.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
so.
you're pretty close though. Yeah, definitely definitely some good calls there. So good job.
I'm learned.
Great work, Dennis. Great work. Again, listeners, if anyone out there disagrees with Food Time's list or wants to console Des with their thoughts, hit us up. Let us know on Twitter. Let us know what you think about the swords or anything else we talked about tonight.
I will say my tier list could change tomorrow if you asked me again tomorrow. It's not like it's definitive, and I could be missing something entirely with some of these swords. I don't play every competitive format there is.
Format matters as well.
Yeah, format does matter a lot, but I think if you just look at them objectively, like it's pretty obvious Feast and Famine is far and above the rest. I think I might value the Mill 10 a little higher than most people because I've won so many games off just hitting with it a couple times, and if you've played against, is it Ulamog, the one that mills now? For the Eldrazi? Yeah. He mills like... he exiles 20. Top 20. He doesn't even mill. He just gets rid of them. Yeah. And this is just kind of a mini version of that. And if you have Double Strike, it's straight up just a mill 20. So,
it's only if it hits a player, though. That's the thing.
You're getting protection from 2 colors, which means they already can't block with 2 of the 5 colors in Magic.
That's true.
Yeah. And you're probably throwing this on someone who's already hard to block, someone who's unblockable, someone who's, they don't want to block anyways for whatever reason.
Question,
or
if
something
I
with
throw this on Trampler,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets through, technically that's...
Yes, sir.
Maybe has still 1 damage. All right.
Love it.
On that note, boys, let's wrap it up. Anything we want to talk about before we go home? Well,
no.
Well, I am not going home for a few more days, so I have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Also, we just have to, so we can just record for 4 days. Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, easy.
Let's go play some Fall Guys. Anyway, all right. On that note, guys, thank you for having a chat with me. Let's do it again sometime. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Playing on purpose. It's literally a Grand Arbiter deck, so I don't know.
Can you guys hear that?
What was that?
Probably not. Oh, thunder. Like, it's fucking right on top of me. Anyway.